Hi, Banku just sent me another spot welder, and this time it's a DOCREATE TK-20P. Now, if you remember, I reviewed a DOCREATE TK-10A a few months ago on the channel, which is right here. Let me bring it over. And I was actually quite impressed with its performance. And at that time, the TK-10A was actually the most powerful spot welder I had reviewed on this channel. Now I think things are about to change, as I think the TK-20P is probably more powerful than the TK-10A. As usual, I will leave a product link in the video description below for those who are interested. Anyway, both of these spot welders use 2 LiPo batteries in series, so the operating voltage is actually right around 8 volts instead of 4 volts in most of the other spot welders. In theory, higher voltages allow higher welding current if the batteries are capable. The maximum specified current for the TP-20A is 1200 amps, which is actually the same as the TK-10A. To achieve the 1200 amps discharging current is actually not as easy as you'd think. To put that number into perspective, the resistance of the entire circuit must be less than 7 milliohms. And that includes the battery internal resistance, the on resistance of the MOSFETs, the cable resistance, and of course, the contact resistance of the nickel strip. So the smaller the resistance of the welding circuitry, the better the welding performance. But I think the TK-20P probably has a better chance at achieving the maximum rated current compared to the TK-10A. And the reason is because the welding cables are considerably thicker than those provided for the TK-10A, and thicker cables will reduce the wiring resistance even further. Let me actually show you that. And here I have the cables. You can see here is the one for TK-10A, and this one is for TK-20P. Just by looking at them, you can see that the cable for the TK-20P is actually thicker than the one for the TK-10A. And let's take a look at the connectors here. You can see the connector here for the TK-20P is also a lot thicker than the one for the TK-10A. So let's do some measurements here. I'm actually curious to see how much bigger in diameter are the connectors used with the TK-20P here. So let's take a look. And here's the one for the TK-10A. You can see that it's roughly 5.8 millimeters in diameter. And here is the one for the TK-20P. You can see it's 8 millimeters. So definitely the connectors used on the TK-20P are a lot beefier. Unlike the other spot welders I had reviewed on the channel, you can actually change the welding tips on the TK-20P. You can see here we have 2, and there are 2 more supplied with the package here. And this can be extremely helpful if you do a lot of welds, as at some point the tips will be worn. So with this design, you can actually simply just swap in new tips. All right, let me show you how to change the tip. So to do that, you just need to unscrew the top here, and we're placing the tip. And now I can screw it in. The nice thing is, actually you can see here, it actually forces it down so that the tip is just the right length. Now, I did notice a design flaw while I was trying to put in the tip here, so let me show you with the other one here. So let me remove the top here. You can see that there is nothing preventing you from inserting the tip all the way in. You can see here, nothing stopping you. So this is actually going to be very inconvenient because you could potentially push it all the way in. Now, another problem is because of this design, you actually can't guarantee that both tips are at the same length. You can see here, the exposed portion, you really don't have any control over that. So you just need to be careful when you are putting the tips in. Of course, now you can see that this one is a lot longer than the other one, so I have to adjust. I'll push this in. And this should be approximately the same length. And here is another difference. All the other spot welders I had reviewed so far use some kind of time delay to initiate the welds after both electrodes made contact with the nickel strip. The TK-20P here actually uses a foot switch instead. And that supposedly gives you more control here because you can essentially initiate the weld whenever you are ready by this foot switch. So that's slightly different. Before I show you the weld, let me actually quickly show you the user interface. And to do that, I actually had to prop it up a little bit so that you can see it better. To turn on the spot welder, all you need to do is press this button here. Now you can see it booted up. And if you have used any of the spot welders before, you will see that's actually very intuitive. This button is also a rotary encoder. You can kind of use it to switch to different settings here. You can see. Now, the first one is mode. you can see currently is set as manual. Of course, you can change it. Let's actually see what we have. So if I press it, you can see I can change it to auto and manual. So let's actually change it to auto. And the next one is gear. And if I have to guess, based on the TK-10A, this setting controls the width of the main pulse. So let's take a look. You can change it between 0. Actually, the lowest I think is 1. Yep. You can change it between 1 and 25, which is the highest. We'll need to do some measurement a little bit later. And then you have this preheat pulse width. And you can see here we set as 2.5 milliseconds, and you can change it accordingly. Let's leave it as default. And then you have this delay. I assume this is the delay between when you engage the pedal and the start of the welding. Now let's take a look at the system settings. So here we have the language, buzzer on and off. The gap time, I'm guessing here the gap time is between the preheat pulse and the main pulse. And warning temperature, so on and so forth. Everything is pretty straightforward. I stand corrected. Remember the first setting here, let me just show you. You see that the manual or automatic. That's actually for you to select whether or not to use the foot pedal. If you set the setting to automatic, the welder would behave exactly the same way as all the other welders I reviewed. Basically, the electrodes make contact with the welding strip. You will automatically engage the welding. And if you set this to manual, then you have to use the foot pedal. So let me briefly show you here. So right now, for example, you see that we set this to manual. And let me put the electrodes across this resistor. You can see nothing happens. Of course, right now, if I press the foot pedal, you heard that beep. And that essentially indicates the initiation of the weld. A good feature here is actually you have to physically remove the electrodes before you can actually initiate another weld. For example, if right now I press the foot pedal again, nothing will happen because we're still maintaining this contact. So if I remove it and place it back on, and then I can press the foot pedal again, yep, it initiates another weld. So this is the manual mode. And now, of course, if I change it to, let's say, automatic mode, and it actually will work exactly the same way as before. So let me make contact. You heard that after I made the contact, after a brief delay, the weld was initiated. Anyway, so that's the automatic mode. Now, after I figure out the auto and manual mode, I'm going to use the automatic mode because that's essentially the same way as all the other spot welders, and it just removes the clutter from the testing here. But if you prefer the foot pedal, you can definitely use it. To test the welding pulse, I'm using the setup here. It looks a little bit convoluted, but it's actually quite simple. So this little circuit up here is actually a Schmidt trigger. I recently did a video, and the purpose of that is to remove the noise when I do the triggering, so I can capture the waveform consistently. I highly recommend you check out that video if you haven't done so already. So then the remaining setup is actually quite simple. Let me just briefly show you here. You can see here the positive side comes out from the welder and it goes through the trigger here. And it goes into this load resistor and comes out from the other side, goes back into the welder. So that completes the circuit. And of course, we have an oscilloscope across the load resistor so I can monitor the waveform. So anyway, so let's enable the single shot here. So you can see here the preheat pulse is roughly 2.4 milliseconds, and I think what we set was 2.5 milliseconds. So that's roughly in the ballpark. And let's take a look at the spacing here. And the spacing is roughly 10 milliseconds. Now let's take a look at the main pulse. The main pulse is roughly 25 milliseconds. So that roughly is our setting. Now let's actually adjust the main pulse width and we'll take another measurement. So now you can see that we have changed the setting a little bit. The gear, I changed it to 20 from 25. So this should reduce the main pulse to 20 milliseconds. And then the preheat pulse, I changed it to 5 milliseconds. This delay has nothing to do with the pulse shape, That's actually the delay between the contact and the initiation of the weld. So let's actually take a look at the system setting here. So I also have changed the gap time to 15 milliseconds instead of 10 milliseconds. Now let's capture another waveform and we'll see on the oscilloscope. All right, let me trigger it again. So we capture a clean waveform. And you can see this is a waveform after we made the adjustments. So let's measure it again. So let's come to the first one. Actually, let's do the first one here. Yeah, you can see now the pilot pulse is 5 milliseconds, roughly, instead of 2.5. And let's take a look at the gap. The gap is roughly 15 milliseconds, exactly as what we set. And now the main pulse. So this one is shorter now. Yep, you can see that is 20 milliseconds instead of 25. So the timing setting is actually pretty much spot on. So for the first test, let's actually weld the strip onto the battery. Of course, I'm using this larger battery. It doesn't really matter. I just want to make sure this is just easier for me to operate here. All right, let's put it on. Put one side. You can see, welded with no problem. Let's try to remove it and see what we got. Yeah, you can definitely see that it's welded pretty solidly. Now let's do it again. Here's the battery. Let's put it here on the side. And let me zoom in a little bit more. As you can see, the weld is pretty solid. Let's try to remove it again. And you can see that the weld quality was pretty good. For the next test, let's actually see if we can weld a piece of nickel strip onto a piece of metal here. Now, I don't know where this piece is from, but it's relatively thick, you can see here. Anyway, so let's give it a try. Yep, you can see that it indeed welded onto the surface with no problem. So this is excellent. Try to remove it. You can see that the weld was very solid. For the next test, let's actually see if we can weld these two razor blades together. Now, if you remember, we did this test with the TK-10A, so I have no doubt we're able to do this with the TK-20P. Let's give it a try. You can see that these two blades are welded together. There's no problem at all. Now I'm actually curious if I can weld nickel strip on the copper. Let's give it a try. And you can see we are actually able to do that. Yep, no problem. If I try to remove it, you can see that, yeah, the weld is not as strong, but we were able to actually weld onto the copper here. And let's open it up and take a quick peek inside. Of course, to open it up, I think I have to remove these rubber feet first. I'm not going to disassemble it any further, but you can see here we have essentially this two-board design. We have a microcontroller on the top. And we have this MOSFET board on the bottom here. Very similar to the TK-10A, we also have 6 of these MOSFETs. You can see here, 3 on this side and 3 on this side. Of course, the batteries used in this welder is of slightly higher capacity. You can see each one is 5 amp hour, and we have 2 of these. Overall, this is pretty much what I had expected. All right, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please remember to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more videos like this in the future. Your participation makes videos like this possible. If you wanted to support my work, please consider joining the channel and becoming a member. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.